So he wrecks that truck, and you're in Duluth, and in it,
dude, honestly, I'm so angry. Did I look angry?
It was the most calm form of scorn and disgust that I've ever seen.
Seriously? I don't even remember what I did.
You walked to a green fence and you stood there and just with, it wasn't even like anger. You stupid boy.
I said that?
It was a great, it's a really good comeback, actually. I would hate to be.
I can't believe I actually said that. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Vince Miller Show. I am Vince Miller. This is my son, Elliott Engen. Say hi.
What's up,
Elliott.
guys? How are you?
Love this guy. He is our house rep in the state of Minnesota. I'm the pastor. He's the politician. I'm the father. He's the son. I'm the older generation.
Guy.
Yeah, right now. I'm the not so cool guy anymore. He's the cool guy.
Yeah.
I'm the athletic guy. Well, yeah.
Got the smarts. All this stuff.
Right. Anyway, so good to be with you guys. We are in Judges chapter 15. Man, studied this week with you, of course. I hope you are following along with the dailies. Don't forget to subscribe. I send out a video every day. Yeah. Literally every day, sometimes twice a day. These ones are great, but I for sure want you studying God's word with me. We're actually digging deep, make real life application, keep it short so that you can read through the Bible with me and what I call Project 23. And then at the end of the week, I usually do a little longer format study on that chapter. And then right here, we're just bringing it to life, right. Man. This is just about making it
conversation.
Real. Yeah, this is.
It's best to listen in the car when you're doing something where you otherwise would just be, listening to the radio or something.
Yeah.
I like doing that, and I need to be better about setting a consistent pattern though too.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get you on there.
All right.
Okay.
I can't hear your voice all the time.
Yeah, exactly. At night when he's asleep, my voice just echoing. Just scary deep voice. You were scared of me for a long time, weren't you?
Oh, you were terrifying.
I was terrifying. Yeah.
Quiet, but also that deep booming voice.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
I will confess.
Capable of something.
I will confess that I couldn't remember your name for the first
It was horrible. Like a year and a half. I think you called me Eli. You called me boy. You called me guy. I think it was like a year and a half. That you're like Elliott, right? And I was like, hey, remember my name.
2 L's and 2 T's.
That's right.
I got it right.
That last year.
It took me 10 years.
That's all right.
You and my daughter dated for how long?
So we started dating, or we were like a fling.
Yeah.
Our freshman year of high school, and we started dating sophomore year, and then she broke up with me.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh, still give her credit.
That's why I didn't remember your name.
But that's what it is.
That was He's gone. He's out of the picture.
No, by the way, that's cooler than being like the domineering father who's like, I'm carrying around the 22.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think about you. I don't know your name.
Just remember that, Dad. That's scarier than it.
But then, we got back together junior year of high school and been together ever since.
Yeah. And you dated for what, 5 to 7 years before you guys got married?
Yeah, 5 or 7 years. It would have been
7 years, and now you've been married 3?
Yeah.
So we've known each other 10 years.
That's kind of crazy, actually.
3 of which I remember your name, and 2 of which I actually know how to spell it. Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Like,
I will not be offended. Yeah, that's right. Who's my guest? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, please go ahead. So anyway, continue. Yeah, we're Judges 15.
Okay.
All right. So we're back into the story of Samson. And this one's kind of interesting because if you remember from the last chapter, Samson went down to Philistine land, Vegas, to take a Philistine woman, a Kardashian, was supposed to be betrothed to her and married to her. And then it ends up in this blaze of hatred, of killing, of
rage.
Presenting, rage, a wager. Losing the wager because of his wife, because she tells the secret of the riddle, right? Then he goes out and he kills a bunch of people to provide them with clothing, suit jackets and pants for these guys that he promised to present to them if he lost the wager. So that's where we end chapter 15. So chapter 14, rather. We're in chapter 15 now. So what happens is Samson is going to go back to get his bride. So, after he pays up the wage, he goes back. And this would have been typical in this time is sometimes brides or newly married wives would stay back for a period of time. So he's going to go back. And he brings, instead of flowers, he brings a young goat for her.
Cool. That's what I would want.
That's totally what goat. Women want today, guys.
Faith would be all about it.
She would love a young goat.
I'm not getting her a goat.
Don't get her a goat. Anyway, so instead of chocolates or flowers, he brings a goat, and he gets back to the house and realizes that his father-in-law has given his bride away to his Samson's former best man.
I would go ballistic.
Okay, so Samson does go ballistic. Oh, yeah. Oh. So he's hacked off.
We would not be doing another podcast.
This would be the last episode. That would be the last episode. Right here, you heard it first. So anyway, Samson leaves, and he goes and he gets 300 foxes.
How in the heck do you... 300?
He gets 300 foxes.
Like what? He's just in a trance, just... finding foxes?
I don't know where you get 300 foxes. I don't know where you get one, right? Like you got a fox farm?
Yeah.
There's a foxy farm out there, but he gets 300 foxes, not women, by the way, actual foxes.
It is Vegas.
It is Vegas, right? So he ties these foxes, their tails together, and then torches.
Imagine being the fox. What's going on?
What is going on
right
now?
Here?
What are we going? Why are we here,
Dude?
We could do a whole sitcom on this, probably. Right? Yeah, this is an SNL. It totally is. So,
but it's almost illogical with a purpose, because like when you're in that form of rage or just like complete destruction mode, you almost become maniacal in how you destroy things. Like there's a trance that you enter into. What can I break?
It's a good point, Elliott. Your imagination begins to run wild on how you can destroy the enemy.
Yeah.
So he comes up with this plan to tie these foxes together, put torches behind them, and let them run through their fields. So essentially, Samson burns up all their commerce. Yeah. In this agrarian culture, all their destroys it, and guess what happens? They get angry. The Philistines get pretty angry back at him. So it's rage upon rage upon rage upon. I hope you see.
And then you got 600 foxes.
Yeah. That's what guys do, right?
They have to one up each other.
We have to always one up each other until we're finally hitting each other with baseball bats, right? I remember I had to break up fights between my two boys, Riley and Grant. It would start with a little thing and a little slap like that, and pretty soon they have wiffle bats and are hitting each other as hard as they can down in the basement.
Yeah, it's a wiffle bat. You can let them go at it. It's good entertainment. Right?
I noticed we got a couple of bats right here. We could just go after this in a few minutes here if you want.
That'd be a great ending.
You would win that one, I promise. Yeah. He played baseball. He can swing the bat a lot harder and a lot farther than I can. So anyway, they strike back. The Philistines get mad. They come up to Israel rather, into Judah, and they're like, we want this guy. So Judah, where Samson lives, his people come and get him. And this is this blows my mind. But God's people, rather than stepping in against the force of the Philistines, which they should have at that point, they had a judge. They got a superhuman judge right now. They tie Samson up and they give him over to the Philistines.
So they're almost in a trance of self-sabotage at this point. Like they had all the means to free themselves, but they could not do it because they didn't know the way.
Because sometimes we see in these stories through Judges that God's people, rather than seek the freedom that God has provided, choose to live in a prison of themselves.
Oh, crud.
They choose to live under the oppression. And maybe there were certain blessings under that oppression, but I want to get into this in a little bit. Yeah, but are we not choosing right now in our country to live under the oppression of certain forces? We would rather do it
than embrace the same truth that we know we need, but it's also quote unquote anti, our current culture.
Yeah,
you're almost a leper or somebody who's othered if you do the right thing nowadays.
Yeah, take the red pill, not the blue pill.
Right.
Is that a more contemporary movie reference? That was good. Okay, so I did okay.
I was like 3, but
Yeah, you were pretty
Keanu
young,
Reeves.
but great, dude. He's such a great actor. Well, no, I don't know about that, but hey, I loved him in that movie. So anyway, they tie him up and they bring him back to the Philistines, and of course, when he's there, he breaks loose from these ropes. They just kind of melt off of him because he's Samson, and then he reaches down and he grabs a fresh jawbone from an ass.
I mean, how is he finding all these trinkets? It's like fox, honeybees with
Right, and a lion carcass.
And now an ass head.
Yeah, it's an ass head. Yeah.
Start calling it.
You know what? We could have said donkey, but hey, dude, it's an ass, and he grabs an ass jaw.
We're saying,
all right, right? It's just an actual animal. Okay, so he grabs the jawbone and he, clenches it, and he kills 1,000 men. It says in the text here, 1,000. That is psychotic.
That's stamina.
Yeah, that guy's got
a mile and a half. Like I'm gonna keel over and die.
I know my son.
I don't do any cardio.
My son told me the other day. Grant, of all people, said he tried to run a mile and he couldn't do it in under 10 minutes.
It's horrible.
I'm like, under 10 minutes, bro. We used to race all the time, and you would smoke.
Then.
Yeah, way back when. Grown men don't
we fight. Yeah, you don't run.
That's why you have guns. We don't run. That's right. So anyway,
say that in a southern accent.
Oh my good. Yeah, that's right.
We don't run.
We don't run. We got guns. So anyway, this another story of Samson, and so I thought these are some points that jumped out at me at this text. Just grab one that you like here, and let's talk about it. Yeah. So one point is Samson confuses, I think, personal offense with holy justice.
Can you dive into that?
Yeah, dive into that. So he is personally offended, and yet God wants to use him to redeem Judah from the injustices of the Philistines. But all he's fixated on is his own personal agenda. Right?
Okay.
So Samson here, I also see he escalates everything. He's a typical dude, right? Everything is going to go to the next level. Yep. Third, his strength becomes a tool for payback, not for purpose, which he is given an extraordinary gift of being able to
He's really
kill
good
people.
at vengefulness. Yeah, probably.
And strength. Superhuman strength. I mean, it's
1,000 dudes with a donkey bone.
I know. You think about it, right?
Cool.
It is pretty cool. And the last thing that really stood out to me from this text is he's very reactive and not proactive or even reflective. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I just kind of want you to...
He's a product of his environment instead of making his environment be a product of him. Mm-hmm. And to do the latter, you have to have an even keel. You have to understand what your purpose is and be productive instead of destructive.
Yeah, and how many people in this life, Elliott? I mean, I have these discussions with you, with my daughter, your wife, with both of my sons. I talk with them frequently about calling and purpose because I think it's important. Yeah. It's important for us to understand what that calling and
void
purpose
of that,
is.
You're lost.
Void of that. We do things like Samson did here, right? We end up not using our gifts to their fullest potential, and we end up hurting other people. Man. Okay, go.
I feel like that is the biggest struggle that our current culture has today.
Okay.
Purposelessness. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good word.
There's no reason for them to wake up in the morning and have their feet hit the ground and feel like they can contribute something that's going to leave a legacy that's bigger than just them here on earth.
And why is that?
I think it's because there is, in my personal opinion, because big government, big business, the powers that be that are already elevated to a position of wealth, fame, status, fortune, money is not an object. They would rather maintain the status quo than allow others to also take a risk and benefit from it.
So you're saying the canopy is so big that for the people that have built the canopy, they're not really allowing anybody else to grow up under that canopy. Is that a way to say
analogy? Like, imagine you're an amazing baker. You can bake cakes and bread, homemade, amazing. It's the best in the world. Could you ever make it in today's world? No, you couldn't. You couldn't open up a bakery on Main Street and be able to afford the same tax status that Costco and Target and Walmart, where you can go get ease and a bunch of different forms of breads, and it's easily accessible. And so your craft is no longer your purpose. You have to set it aside, or maybe it's just a hobby. And so now people are left, sweeping up data center floors because that's the only job.
Okay, I got an example for you.
Yeah.
Here's a good example. So on my website, we sell Bible study resources predominantly for dudes.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm kind of forced to put product up on Amazon.
Yeah. Of course.
And if I don't deliver books at the speed or the rate that they want,
Yep.
they remove not only my ads, but my priority selling ranking.
So they're literally mandating how you conduct your own business.
Because you know what they want me to do? They want me to move my books into their fulfillment warehouses and have it fulfilled by Amazon FBA rather than fulfilled by my own marketplace.
Well, and that's what's so sad too, is like we've sold out the American people. We've sold out our own neighbors and robbed them of purpose for ease, efficiency, saving a couple extra bucks, getting crappy stuff made in China with slave labor and, child exploitation. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Out of mind. But so long as it's an overnight delivery and I save a couple bucks, screw the guy up the street that might be selling it and he's making it himself.
Yeah.
I think we need to get back to a point in which Americans are engaging in a true form of capitalism and marketplace, sharing, where if you have something that I want, I'm going to exchange it for something that you want, rather than just this corporatist and very materialistic world that we're in.
Yeah.
Because it's leaving all of us without a sense of purpose occupationally, as well as worse off financially. But that was a really
I appreciate that you said something about that, because as someone from an older generation, I've had to grind it out too. I've had to figure it out. I've had to grind it out. I've had to press into the issues. I've had to innovate. I've had to pivot.
Yeah.
I've had to tweak. And I have found that every time I've done one of those things that God has blessed it, but I also know that there's a sense of purpose behind it. Like I just really believe
knew where you were trying to go.
I knew where I was trying to go. I felt like I had a few opportunities, but what I hear you saying is that even though it's been hard for me, you're saying it's hard or almost impossible for young people to find their purpose because they're left with the leftovers. And as much as the older generation says you gotta earn your right, they don't see an opportunity for them to even.
What is there to earn?
Yeah.
Even if I did, grind it out working 3 jobs, could I afford a home when its median price is $432K?
Yeah.
Like, no, I can't. And it's I think it's a little bit of a generational wealth rob, and there needs to be a larger format conversation as to how we uplift the next generation, rather than just say they're not doing it like we did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's demeaning, and there's so many people who are just working their butts off to try to stay afloat.
Well,
if we give them that purpose, if we give them I always think of this. Do you know the picture where they're building skyscrapers in New York and they're sitting down, opening up their lunchbox, dangling?
Yeah, off the edge of the skyscraper.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's an American flag flying, and you could tell that they were happy because they were building America. There's no longer that today. If you're a Walmart greeter, if you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, or if you're sweeping up the data center floor for a big corporation that doesn't care about you, you're just a number. You don't get to ask for a wage increase because they'll just go grab somebody else. You're just momentary, and you're
a tool in the system.
Yeah, you're doing something that hopefully someday a robot can do for us.
Yeah, I can sense that. Well, guys like me from an older generation, we need to hear that, because I want you to know, Elliott, I'm sitting by your side today having these conversations with you because I really do care about and love the next generation.
Yeah.
And it's not just about me loving my 2 sons, my daughter, you. Like, I really care that somehow spiritually we can impart purpose back to them. And of course, I believe that the Bible teaches that there is a grand purpose that we all need to understand. Like Samson, until his final moments, I don't want to give it away yet, even though we all know the end of the story. Until Samson's final moments, he doesn't live in the beauty of his purpose.
Yeah.
He lives intoxicated by self. He lives by his own means, by his own strength, by his own sense of justice and injustice. But he's not truly living out his purpose because all these other things have taken his time and attention. I can understand that, but
like America.
It totally does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It just does. But I want young people today that are listening right now to know that we need you to find your purpose. And we need you to live it out. And it begins by understanding that God has a greater purpose for all of us and that we live underneath his purpose. And then he's going to define and clarify along the way that very specific purpose he has for our lives.
And it's a purpose, too, that nobody else can pinpoint like only you could, right? It's unique to each individual. One question that I got from a bunch of different kids when I go and speak to younger crowds, it's how do I get involved, or where do I find that purpose? Like, how do I come across it? And that's a tough question to answer, right? Because you can't know what that unique, thing is for each individual. But what I always tell them is go and help people, because you're going to end up finding it through that. You're going to learn more about yourself, and then you're going to see what your passions are.
Okay, can I tell you how I would answer it? Because you're very, very close there. I'd even be more specific, just to give you fodder for those conversations. Yeah. But one thing, the first thing you have to do is you have to, I believe as a believer, is that we have to rescind or give over, surrender our purposes for his purposes.
I love that.
That's where it all begins. It begins with surrender to Jesus Christ and his way. It is. It's a total ego drop. We surrender it all. We lay our lives down, and all of our past and all of our future, all of our sin and all of our hopes and dreams, we lay those down before Jesus Christ. Because why? Because he designed us. God designed us with purpose and intent. Now, once we choose to live under him as our Lord, we are going to then see some of our gifts, or we call them in the Bible in 1 Corinthians, Paul calls them spiritual gifts. We begin to live out of those gifts, and those gifts, as we use them, continue to expand over a lifetime. Now, I think we've been sold a Bill of Rights by many colleges and universities, like the one that you attended, right? Sold a Bill of Rights that we find our purpose by, whatever they're teaching in college, but not
gender basket weaving studies for $250,000. And don't worry, FAFSA, the government's going to be helping us subsidize it, which is only going to increase tuition because there's an incentive to. Like, it's
that was a soundbite right there. Let's play that back one time.
Oh my gosh, higher education is one of the most disgusting forms of corruption and pyramid schemes that's being promulgated to our kids, and for nothing. They're selling an experience now. Go to a safe space. Go be whoever you want to be. Do not open yourself up to ideas that challenge your current worldview. And if you do all that, we'll have you in debt till you're 45.
Yeah, and driving you away from maybe discovering your purpose.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it is driving you away and irritated about it. Yeah. So it's not surprising to me that you walk onto a campus and get heckled about Charlie Kirk's death.
That was my purpose, though. Right. I needed to be at that little campus, thinking I was just there for baseball, and then all of a sudden being exposed to some of the most vitriolic and outright Marxist belief systems that, they're not quiet about it. They want to destroy the West.
Right.
They want to be as destructive as Samson.
Yeah.
And they don't care what they grab.
Mm-hmm.
But in being in that environment, it only sharpened me to want to, educate myself and be more knowledgeable, more understanding of truth and history, and
it clarified your purpose.
Exactly.
And here you are doing it today. You're living out that purpose. They actually drew it out of you, out of that sense of injustice. I'm doing what I really believe that God has called me to do. I believe that God has called me to teach and preach his word. And
can I share something with you?
Yeah.
I think it's always been one of your coolest attributes that you never had a mentor figure up until your grandfather, right? But not having that present father, somebody that was going to be, pouring into you wisdom and self-confidence and all the things that dads do that you've done with your kids. And then to take up that mantle and say, I'm going to be that for somebody else who might not. That's a God calling right there.
Yeah. And, I would say, Elliott, I didn't know, initially when my grandfather died, you'll appreciate this story. My grandfather died when I was 20, got cancer in his spine. I flew back out to California to watch him die. And I got to the hospital, and he had about 6 hours left. He sat up in the bed. He talked to me for about an hour about life, car, family. He talked to me about my future, asked me if there was a girl in my life. At that moment, I hadn't even met my wife, by the way. I hadn't even met Christina, my wife. And then he laid down, and I watched him die for the next few hours. And my grandmother refused to go into the room, and no one else was there. So it was me watching him die. And I was listening to the ambient noise of him gasping for air.
Oh my!
So it was like basically,
Prolonged grief.
just listening to him finally suffocate as, he had a morphine drip to take away the pain. And, eventually the ambient noise of those gasps for air got longer and longer and longer between, where you're kind of hanging on, like thinking, is he going to take the next breath? And then, another breath and, another breath. I will never forget. I don't think I've ever shared this with you, but I will never forget in that moment saying a prayer out loud to God where I found my purpose. And I didn't realize it when I said it. Wow. It went like this. I said out loud, God, for the rest of my life, I want to do for other men what my grandfather did for me.
Dude, don't make me cry.
And I remember praying that out loud, going, because now I was beginning to feel a void of a father who had finally stepped into my life and mentored me and showed me the way. And yet in that moment when I prayed that prayer, I didn't know that was, even though it was my voice, it was God's voice speaking back to me about the purpose that he was calling me to. And I want you to know that it is usually through pain, through trial, suffering, that God clarifies some of those purposes. So if you're listening today and you're from a younger generation looking for purpose and feeling oppressed about the injustice around finding your purpose, I believe that God can still clarify that in the middle of the impression, the anger, the frustration, the injustice that you feel today. And God wants to clarify that for you, because I want you to know at age 20, I didn't know that I was going to be doing that for the rest of my life. I said it out loud, but I was like, am I really going to do that? I never made a commitment.
Know why? It was something that was in your heart. It wasn't contrived by your own head.
Exactly.
You were using your own eyes as
exactly
what your truth was.
But
allowing God to take that up.
Exactly.
That's powerful, man. I've never
really
about you. Yeah, it's extremely powerful.
So I would say then the way that we discover that true purpose and that true calling is a step of obedience today. And then we do it tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And you know what? That's what I've done since my grandfather's death. For the last 35 years, I've done actual full-time ministry for 30 years. I did a 5-year internship at a church in Oklahoma, and then, moved from Oklahoma to Minnesota, went down to Texas for a period of time, back up to Minnesota, now in Florida. And God has called me to a national or international ministry today that I continue to do. That's how folks out there listening, that's how you find your obedience. Is you listen into the struggles, you listen into the prayers, you surrender your life and your purpose to him, and then you allow God to clarify that through steps of obedience over a long period of time, and he clarifies it. And I want you to know, it's when I started this ministry that you are engaging with right now with me, 11 years ago, that I really felt the convergence of all those things together for the first time.
Coming together. And
it was just
now building time.
Yeah, it's now we're going to do.
Let's build it.
Now we're going to go do it. And it wasn't easy. I mean, it wasn't easy.
Do you remember having me at your kitchen table talking about relationships or dating when I was probably maybe 13 or 14 years old?
No, tell me about it.
We have a podcast that I stumbled across. And it is hilarious watching us engage, because I'm still terrified of you. But I could see that you were enjoying, the kind of naive and unfiltered responses. Yeah. And you were using it to sharpen others and say, here's what we want to have for our kids. And rewatching that the other day, it was pretty interesting.
Okay, I don't even remember that.
You don't?
But we're gonna throw that up on this
video. You still didn't know my name.
Yeah. I was like, was that you? Okay. Yeah, no offense, but but yeah, I need to go back and watch that. But really that's cool that you remember that.
Because I could see that you were in a very similar, way that you do right now. You were demonstrating wisdom through lived experience, even through my lived experience. Mm-hmm. And that was really cool. But now I can understand it more as to how you arrived at that after that story you shared about your grandma.
Yeah. So getting back to a little bit to the tech. No, this is an awesome conversation. Come on, man.
What's Trump call it? The weave.
The weave.
We'll come back to it.
I do the weave. Like we're going to come back to it.
A little fun. Bam. All right.
I do good. So here's where I'd like to maybe bring this back and close the weave on it. Is Elliott, I think, as much as it's hard and painful to see what Samson did in these verses here and how his anger escalated, I know that in the middle of it, that Judah is going to see Samson's calling. Samson's going to realize his calling. God is going to redeem this. He's going to redeem this, and he's going to be remembered in his last moments as one of the judges of Israel, of Judah, and it's going to end up being a beautiful representation of the injustice that Jesus fought on the cross, where all purpose is disclosed. In other words, Samson is an imperfect representation of justice, because he
can still do it.
But
Sin can still advocate and work on behalf of God.
And it's just God's greater purposes will overtake and overwhelm and overclarify our frailty and our failings.
It reminds me of the Everett story.
Okay, share that.
Yeah. So our son, Faith and I's son, he's a year and a half. He's an absolute tank of a kid. He's going to be putting me in a headlock here soon, beating my butt. But he was born at 28 weeks, emergency at-home birth on the bathroom floor. Not what you want to come home to on a random Tuesday at 7 o'clock when all of a sudden, boom, there's your son. You don't believe him to be alive.
Yeah.
You think it's a stillbirth. And in that moment, where you're being told that he might not make it, he's probably not going to make it. He was pronounced gone for 2 minutes or something to that effect. And miraculously, God worked, and we have a healthy boy now. But it was the first time that I had to surrender everything to God. And it took a while. Like, it took nights and days. And then I think it was about a week and a half of me not sleeping, being just a worried mess and wreck. That wasn't...
You were angry.
I was angry.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because it was...
You were even angry that I was calm about it. I remember that in the hospital.
I couldn't understand how you did it.
Yeah.
Ice in your veins. Holy crud. But no,
just call me Ice Man.
I'm not going to call you that. No, but it was the first time that I wasn't capable of doing anything that was productive or proactive in helping Everett in those moments. And I was mad. I wasn't mad at God. I was mad at what I believe to be an injustice against, our now family, if we can maintain it with Everett. And I didn't recognize all of the things that were going on in the background. I didn't recognize that there were 4 atheists who were working as first responders, cops, an EMT, and a couple firefighters that now all attend church together. And
how cool is that?
They're following God now. Yeah. Like, God not only showed me a lesson, but he revealed himself to people who otherwise were rejecting him. And then the picture of his foot, I mean, that was miraculous too. They took a ink
press
of the bottom of his foot, and this was early on when we still didn't know if he was going to make it, and it was something for us to hold on to that demonstrated him. And on that picture, I swear, we can put it up too.
Yeah, there's
a cross in that, and it wasn't like a faint cross. Like, this is a cross. And I remember nurses poking their head into that room to look at that.
Yeah,
I want to know how many people were, furthered in their own belief, or for the first time said, "Oh, hey, there's something here with this Jesus guy." But there were so many different storylines that I wasn't privy to that God was working in. And if we don't set aside our own ego and lose our pride in wanting to control everything, you're not able to actually fully see it.
See, and I think you're making a good point, Elliott. It's actually a very, very beautiful moment, but sometimes, even though we feel a sense of injustice and maybe act wrongly like Samson did, right? God has something going on that we can't see. And when we feel a sense of purposelessness that doesn't impede his purpose.
He's still working.
He's still working. He's working in ways that we cannot see, doing things that we do not understand, accomplishing a purpose that may actually be using our experience. And what we don't want to do is to allow our emotions and our life and our anger or our rage with Samson to get in the way, and to blind us from the beauty of it.
Blocking God's, full transformational gift, bestowing onto ourselves.
Right.
If we stay angry and vindictive and feel as if we're the victim.
Right. And just not just to act angry, to be like the Israelites too, who were passive and actually engaging with the battle that God had called them to.
Here's your passion, and then rejecting it.
Yeah, and rejecting it and handing it over, binding him up and handing him over to the Philistines. Like, I think both sides of the fence can miss the beauty of the purpose of what God is trying to do, whether we implode like I might do or explode like you might do. It doesn't really matter. God is still working out his greater purposes, and he'll use broken, sinful people to accomplish his purposes. Sometimes this is not permission to act sinful or to hurt or wound other people.
It's to use it as a tool.
But it's to use it. And I kind of wonder right now how God is using me and how he's using you, how he's using me in my teaching of God's word, and how he's using you in politics, in fighting the good fight of faith together. His greater purposes are being accomplished that we can't even see. And so for those of you out there today who feel a sense of purposelessness, I want to encourage you to take that first step of laying your purposes down to Jesus Christ. That's where all of it begins, is to lay down your past and lay down your future, surrender it to him, call him your Savior and Lord, which begins with the decision that you make individually, surrendering all your life to him and choosing to live life his way by his truth. I'm holding up a Bible right here. By living by his way and by his truth. It might be an iPad.
Apple product.
Surrender your life to an Apple product right now, like we all have done, and give your life to him. And then when you surrender to his purposes, then the purposes he has for your life will become clear over time. And just like you have seen it through Everett's life, like I have seen it through my grandfather's life and through my ministry, it will become clear to you. So do me a favor today. If you want to make a decision for Jesus for the very first time, just write in the comments below, I choose Jesus. Do that. And then follow us here every single day as we study God's word together and grow in your relationship with him. And then do me another favor. Share this with someone. This decision you made today with someone that you know, and get fired up about it, because guess what? This is the life and the purpose that God has for you. He wants you to live a life surrendered to him so that you can produce a fruitful life.
I think you said something that's really important. Share it with others too.
Yeah.
Because, think about it. There's no better way to create a countrywide revival of spirit, of values, of truth, of justice, of a government that's acting in support of all those things.
We have to live it out together, man.
We have to encourage others to do the same as well.
Exactly. So with that, I love you guys so very much. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, son. Appreciate you so much. And we'll see you back here next time. Until then, live all in for him who lived all in for you.